This is how it is today. This is how it is today on Pop Culture Minefield. Today on Pop Culture Minefield.
Mind if I take a sip from my tasty beverage? No. There's a shot in there, by the way. Like, some people don't know what movies are in there, those clips. But there's one particular clip where I've gotten two people who asked me, like, who's that dude with the big, thick glasses? I said, that's Dustin Hoffman from the movie Pappy back in 73. And he wore glasses so thick he had to wear contacts to counteract them. So he's able to move around.
I love that movie.
Referred to back then as Coke bottle glasses because they're so thick they look like the bottom of a Coke bottle glass, Coke bottle. So I wouldn't pay attention to the new Papillon film. The original film, 73, is the much better film. And really, that was sort of the end of the era. Between 73 and 74 is when classic movies stopped being made, like the one we're going to watch today, which is Jack Nicholson and in Roman Polanski's film Chinatown, written by Robert Townsend and co-starring Faye Dunaway and John Huston. John Huston, of course, being famous for making the detective films that established the noir genre. He directed The Maltese Falcon. He directed The High Sierra with Bogart, too. Great film, which his father was in, John Huston. He plays the old gold miner in it. So, but anyway, I like that new intro for Wednesdays. It's Wednesday and for Saturday. But I don't know. So it's been an interesting day. I saw a little thing before we got in the studio today that aggravated me. Some guy making the statement that the new Nasferatu film, he tried to connect it through words, hyperbole, as being an illegal film. And it's like, the original film was illegal. And they got sued. And they lost the lawsuit and were forced to destroy the film. Miraculously, one version that got shipped to New York and they'd forgotten about was the only copy that didn't get destroyed. And that's how we have any copy at all of Nasferatu. What's his name? Not his, but
the Stoker estate.
Stoker estate. Bram Stoker's widow sued him successfully, kicking his ass, Murnauer's ass, at court. And so that we ended up with a copy of it all. Now we've got this new version coming out of Nasferatu. It's the second remake of it. Instead of just making a Dracula film, we've had a previous remake back in 77 with Werner Herzog, who made
he had two
versions at once. He shot simultaneously. He shot a German and an English one. He would shoot the English scene or German scene and then shoot the English scene, and just kept doing that throughout the whole movie. And that's why if you watch the German one, you'll notice slight differences in some of the scenes. And it's because of the fact they were shot at separate times, obviously, instead of dubbing later. This year marks the 45th anniversary of the Nasferatu remake. And it's a wonderful film. But anyway, this guy was trying to say that. And the fact is, I said, not only is it legal to make Nosferatu a remake of the original Nosferatu? Because it's in public domain, but so is Dracula, and it's been there for a while. You know, it was a weird video, and I just didn't like it. So I was gonna comment on it, but I lost it. I'll probably look it up later so I can like tell 'em, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Don't
Dude.
start out a video that way.
Hey, we had
If
He was
If-
both.
if Dracula was still copyrighted, the Stoker estate could like they'd be billionaires by this point with all the lawsuits.
Oh man, yeah.
okay.
But Klaus
Let me
Kinski
run-
was brilliant and insane. You are correct.
Hey,
Let
Zach.
He's
me
also-
properly greet Sax.
He
Here we
also was
go.
a fucking monster. That's what.
Go for it,
fucking
just
really
do it.
sad part is.
No,
Hey,
Let's do
fuck
it.
you, Kyle.
There
you have
go.
to
Just
tell
do
me
it.
as Arnold.
Do
You
it.
have to tell me as
Do it.
Arnold.
Do it.
Do it now.
God damn it. So, Robert Towne, who wrote the screenplay for this film, he got some brain damage from drug abuse, alcohol and drug abuse, and his ability to write just sort of diminished greatly. He did write a sequel to Chinatown called The Two Jakes. It's actually a really good script, and I think it's an okay film. It's not a great film, but it's a good film. It's worth watching, and I'll do it on here. We'll do it one day talking on a Saturday or even on a Wednesday, because it's just one of those films I think that really works. Harvey Keitel, Jack Nicholson. In this story, the young girl is now all grown up, and there's still problems sifting in. The father is dead. The incestuous father is dead. And so Nicholson is on one investigation while dealing with problems with the other, still dealing with shit from before the war. So it's a good film, but it cost Robert Towne and Nicholson their friendship because Nicholson wanted to direct it and Towne didn't agree with him and what his approach to it. And so when Nicholson ignored him and went forward with producing it, directing it, Robert Towne broke with him and ended their friendship. They'd been friends for 20 years and ended their friendship. They just weren't going to work together anymore because they were friends before Chinatown. They knew each other from back in the 60s. You know, the comedy movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit was originally written as a Chinatown sequel and never got made, which involved Jake. I got to tell you, with the fucking animated rabbit, it would not make for a good film.
Supposedly,
If it had been a sequel.
supposedly the prequel Fincher is still happening.
Well, it has very similar. It has a very similar premise again about government overreach and doing criminal shit while doing it. And so yeah, it is very connected, Slasher Fred. Whether it's was intended as a sequel originally or not, I like that story. My favorite thing is the dip.
Yeah, I do love that. Yeah, it was supposed to be the different elements, as it were. So water and power, the rail car system for Roger Rabbit. That's what that whole Cloverfield thing was about. And then gas for and oil for the two Jakes.
Yep. Things that usually involve fucking corruption and greed. And so the first thing I say with Robert Towne is like, even though nothing like that actually happened, why do we write about that? Because Hollywood writers hate greed because the majority of them are fucking commies.
Well, no, they love greed. They just don't like greedy businessmen. My $20 million deal, 3-picture deal, that's a good thing. Yeah, I've never heard about any of these communist scriptwriters going like, hey, donate my money to like, the funds or these communes to help these people. It's always, I'm living in Beverly Hills, bitch.
Yeah, and I'll worry about climate when all the Hollywood and powerful moguls move from the coasts. When they start moving inland, I'll go, okay, maybe we should listen to them.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing I do want to bring up some trivia stuff, like Nicholson in one scene has to slap Faye Dunaway, and they kept trying it, it wasn't working. So she just told Nicholson to slap her, like really hit me, and he did, and that's the take they use in the film. He knocked the shit out of her, and he felt really bad about it, and was kind of hoping that the other scenes were better, and they weren't, so they went with it. At the time of filming, Nicholson had just embarked on his long-standing relationship with Angelica Huston. This made his scenes with her father, John Huston, rather uncomfortable. And so I've got a video clip for you guys just for that, where Kevin Pollack talks about a close encounter he had with Nicholson on the set of A Few Good Men. So here we go.
Moment.
Yeah.
He gets to his trailer, he puts his hand on the door, and he stops and he turns to me and he says, "You want to know surreal?" And of course, I'm thinking, I'm sorry, Jack Nicholson, did you just ask me if I wanted to know what you think is surreal?
Yeah, right.
I pull up a chair and he says, "I'm doing this picture, Chinatown." I'm sorry, Jack Nicholson, did you just start a story with, I'm doing this picture, Chinatown, and I'm rehearsing this scene with John Huston. And you have to understand, the man was like an idol of mine. He was a surrogate father. I worshipped the ground he walked on. He meant more to me than my own family. And while we're rehearsing this scene, I see over his shoulder, about 50 yards away, his daughter Angelica walking towards the set to visit. And I had just started banging her about 3 weeks before.
Oh my God.
And so I realized I hadn't told the old man yet. And I didn't know how to break it to him. I didn't want to upset him. I didn't want him to be angry with me. I didn't want to disappoint him. I would have killed her if that's what he wanted. And I'm thinking all these things as we're rehearsing the scene, and I come out of those thoughts and get back into the rehearsal at the exact moment that his character says to mine, "Mr. Giddis, are you sleeping with my daughter?" Now that's surreal. And he turns on a dime and he walks into his trailer.
I love Jack Nicholson stories told by other actors. They're just fucking great moments.
And he did
But
a
you
good
know-
impression of Nicholson. That was pretty
Oh, he
cool.
also did a great John Huston.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, he sounded like Mr. Goodies.
But if you keep the camera rolling, it gets even awkwarder.
He's the only person other than Pollack that I think nails it's his personality too. You got to get his mannerisms. And he gets his mannerisms when he's talking about Nicholson. And of course, we're talking about Matt Damon. Matt Damon giving that little story about Nicholson working on what was that movie called? I just forgot the name. Martin Scorsese film.
The
Yeah,
Departed.
Departed.
The Departed.
Oh, I love that story.
Oh, look at this.
You son of a bitch.
What? We have a wild Tom in the house.
Well, we were
Forget it.
expecting you, man.
Forget it, Geary. It's Chinatown.
That's right.
We bumped Tom and Gary because he asked us to, and now you're joining anyway. That's great.
Well, I wasn't 100% sure, but you know what? It actually works out better this way because I have not watched Beverly Hills Cop 2 this week yet. But I did just
Oh.
watch Chinatown, The Two Jakes, and The Kid Stays in the Picture.
Robert Evans. My God, yeah.
Yes. So I'm fully prepared for this conversation.
Did you watch Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Please, I know that movie by heart.
Please.
Also
I love
good.
that voice. By the way, I still need to point out the surreal aspect of my 1 degree of separation from Robert Evans, in that Jim Woodward, my childhood and still closest, dearest, best friend, his sister married Robert Evans. She is his widow.
Oh, really?
She inherited.
Okay, so
the
she would have
entire
been
estate.
his second wife or whatever?
Yeah.
Second or
And-
third? Second.
And it's
Second.
so funny. I'll bring this up and I'll go, but she doesn't speak to me anymore. She doesn't even talk to her own brother unless they're at an event.
Well, that's too bad
She
because
is-
I'll be one who'll argue Bob Evans saved Hollywood.
God damn it. I know you won't argue with me because I'll agree with you. I tell people, it's like, look, the thing that pisses me off about Kathleen Kennedy is the fact that Robert
He's
Evans,
the opposite of
in-
Kathleen Kennedy. Exactly. Yeah.
complete opposite. Great at picking actors, great at picking movies, made hit after award-winning hit.
He got him
And they
out
were
of the
constantly
slump of
trying
the
to fire
60s.
him.
Yeah.
They constantly were trying to
Constantly.
fire him. And Kathleen
Well,
Kennedy,
not just that, they're
she's-
trying to drag him into every goddamn controversy they could. Even that one, I'm sure you've heard about, like the deal with one of his last movies, the Cotton Club deal, or whatever, where that one guy wound up dead because he got wrapped up in some con deal. It's like he had nothing to fucking do with it, and he still got wrapped up into it.
That was more Francis Ford Coppola than anybody. That was an American zoetrope picture.
Well, really,
in fact, that's
the
the
whole
film
that
that
was like
destroyed him. It's
between the
film that
coke
destroyed him.
deal and that murder investigation is what hurt his career. And what's sad is the coke deal he was barely even a part of, but he did, admit, he fucked up.
He was in California. He did cocaine. Oh, wow.
Well, he should have
Really?
known better. They fell for the oldest trick in the book. That's why and he got kind of set up by people. That's what happened. Yeah. I mean, again, he takes
People
full
don't like him.
responsibility for it, but
It's like, look, people think that, Hollywood, it only recently started going to shit. No, it went to shit in the 40s. It was started in the 30s, got worse in the 40s. And by 1950, we had the HUAC coming in there, fucking hunting commies, socialists, and liberals. They're after all three. And basically destroyed a lot of careers. I think it's wrong destroying people's careers, but taking them to court over shit like that was absolutely the above board thing they should have done. That every single one of them should have been forced to face a day of reckoning for what they were trying to do behind the scenes, trying to turn this country red. And so what happened? They learned their lesson, and they're more subversive, and they hit us in our education system. That's how the Reds did it this time. And look at our country. It's in turmoil and spiraling down the thing. It's not even a Democrat-Republican thing. Because I think if it was just Democrats and Republicans, we'd be doing fine. The problem is we have these crazy radicals on the left, and agreed, we got some problems with the religious right, but I see them as less of a threat than the pervasive nature of the communists and socialists in this country. But anyway, Robert Evans was being hunted, and that's what I'm talking about. Is because they tried to do the same thing that they did to Walt Disney. Because Walt, all that stuff you hear about him being a Nazi, all that stuff was all fucking lies.
well,
There's
what
no
pissed him
truth in
off
it.
about Robert, which was funny, is it had nothing to do with his lifestyle or anything like that. It had to do with the fact that he was the first producer since Zanuck to have the deal where he had a studio picture deal and he was able to produce his own movies at the same time,
Yeah.
which made him the most powerful producer in Hollywood. And they didn't like that because he was a hot shot. And he did. He saved Hollywood. Yes, there was a few other things at other places, Fox and Warner and stuff had their wins, but he took Paramount from the bottom of the barrel at a time when nobody was going to see movies. And between Love Story, Godfather, and Chinatown, he almost single-handedly saved Hollywood. Basically. I mean, yes, Exorcist is what Warner Brothers had to help them out of the gutter. And Fox had like The Omen and a couple other things to help them get out of the gutter. And Columbia had Easy Rider. But yeah, I mean, he was the only one who fought for Hollywood to stick around. Otherwise, a lot of these guys just wanted to sell everything off.
Yep. It was also, right at the end of this movie, oh my gosh, there's a handful of films. Papillon was another one for the other studio. These were films that were the end of the quality filmmaking era, where you had movies that were made solely for winning an award. They weren't concerned about making a profit off the film. Like Zanuck was not Zanuck, I'm sorry, Gone with the Wind producer, Selznick,
Yeah.
David O. Selznick. He was known for focusing on making his money, but then he would always have one film that he would focus all of his money and energy onto to guarantee that they would garner those Academy Awards. Because whether people understand it or not, Oscars is money for Hollywood. And it's
Well,
money
not
for
only that, it used
studios.
to be kind of manufactured. Like,
Oh, it was
like,
manufactured. Absolutely.
like all of it was, like you just said, like they would almost, it's kind of like you can compare
MGM
it to the
made
Marvel
the
movies.
Oscars.
Yeah, you could almost compare it to the Marvel movies where like it was almost guaranteed, like didn't matter what it was at Christmas, they knew everybody was going to go see it. They could literally
Yep.
just put a piece of crap on screen for fucking 2 hours and people would pay to watch it at that point because you didn't have anything else. But then
Now
when they
they
had to start
literally do that.
yeah, well, yeah, I know, but then they had to start competing with television, and that's where these kids come along. And kind of one of the pioneers would be like, you know, Francis Ford Coppola and Jack Nicholson and all those guys come in. And then you had, you know, the De Palmas and the Lucases and the Spielbergs and all that stuff come out of that group.
And they were all
But
yeah,
yeah,
they came out of the same zoetrope camp, you know, they're all part of that deal. And
but Bob
they
was
were
kind of
trying
like
to
the
do it.
first superstar maverick producer, right? Like where he would get in the nitty gritty. He was, you know, he wasn't just running a studio chomping cigars all day, writing checks. He was
Yeah.
down in there
Well,
trying
he
to
was
get shit
deeply
done.
involved with the actors, you know, picking actors. I mean, he was in a deep relationship for a while with Ally McGraw.
Yeah.
And Ally McGraw goes down to shoot that movie with Steve McQueen, and they start banging, and he's getting freaked out. He's like, "What's going
Well,
on?"
and he even blamed himself at that point because he didn't go visit her for 2 months. That was part of the problem. But again, she shouldn't have done it. I mean, I'm not giving her excuse, but
Hey,
you know.
caused Sinatra's divorce, so you know, man.
Yeah, that was hilarious. That's a good story. That oh yeah, we forgot about Rosemary's Baby. That's another one that was a big deal. Kind of
Oh
led
yeah.
in. But see, here's the thing. This movie kind of came between Bob and what's his face, the Polanski. Because they had such a great relationship after Rosemary's Baby, but after this movie, Bob's like, this movie is just as much my movie as it is Jack's, as it is Roman's, but Roman come in and just took it over and acted like he did everything.
Yeah, and it
And it
led to a lot of
bothers Bob to
conflict
this
on
day
set.
that it says a Roman Polanski film over the title.
Well, there was a lot of tension on the making of this film. There were fights between Nicholson and Evans and Polanski, and there were fights between Faye Dunaway and Polanski. I don't know about with Robert Evans, but I know she was constantly fighting with him making his film. It got
I
so
don't know
bad
about with him and her and
he
Bob.
pulled
yeah,
out some of her hair. He pulled out some of her fucking hair one day. He was getting so frustrated with her. And Nicholson was just constantly arguing with him, and it led to a situation where he had always had this little Hitachi TV, little miniature portable
Oh, he also
TV.
said it's equal Townsend's movie too. I forgot about that. The writer. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and it is, to me, it is, because the reason this film is so fucking good isn't just the direction; it is the amazing fucking dialogue.
Well, it
And
has
it's
to be
sad when
because
you
the
learn.
story is so simple that
It is.
he made it so complicated. Because that's the thing is Bob didn't even nobody got it when they first read the script. They didn't understand what the fuck this thing was. And that's one of the more famous stories is when Bob was trying to explain it. They actually have that scene. If you haven't seen The Office, check it out. It's a great fucking
It's
show.
it's not based on it, Slasher. It happened. He learned about it at the same time. Townsend, even though Townsend and he were close friends, it was just happenstance, coincidence. I hate the word coincidence, but it was pure coincidence that Nicholson would find out that the woman he thought of as his sister and the woman that he thought it was his mother was actually she was his grandmother and his sister was his mother.
And he didn't find
And
that
was
out until his
right
grandmother
it was
died,
after
wasn't it?
this. Yeah, it was after this movie. So it was just a weird coincidence. And it is
No,
odd.
but actually Townsend had a plan to do a trilogy. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
Because it was supposed to be water, oil, and air. Because that was
Yep.
the three
And
things that were big with LA. Yeah.
and what ended up costing us that was when Nicholson decided to direct the sequel, Townsend didn't want him to do. He says, "Don't do that." don't do that. Just play the Jake Gittes part. We'll get a good director in here. And Nicholson, without talking to him about it, went ahead and accepted the role as director. And it ended their friendship and any chance of ever doing another film.
He actually
And
left
there was-
straight from Batman to directing this, or directing the sequel. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, him, Townsend, and Evans all had a fallout over that sequel. Which this is the first time I watched the sequel in like 20 years, and I realized I'd never gotten through the whole thing before. So remember, I quit watching it.
And this is the way you should watch it, in black and white.
I've never even seen it this way, but
I've seen
yeah,
it
I
in
can see
color
that.
so many times, but finally went and I watched it in total black and white, and I'm like, holy crap, this is beat for beat a really good classic noir film.
Oh, yeah.
You
And
watched it in black and white, Barry?
Polanski did this on purpose, that he followed the way the classic Raymond Chandler films went and the books. And he made the film from the detective's POV. This film is told from his POV. The one big thing that got dumped out of the movie, because it's in the original script, is all the detective narration, because Polanski felt that he wanted the audience to discover things as Gittes was discovering them. And he felt the narration gave too much away. I'm never going to argue with him on it because I think it's a perfect film.
Well, I was going to say I actually enjoyed the second film more this time out than I ever had before. Maybe it's because movies have gotten so crappy.
Oh, it's
Maybe
so
it's because I actually watched the whole thing. I don't know.
It's a
But,
fun movie. I think the weird part of it is the way he chose the camera angles he chose for that ending, where he runs back out as she's walking away, and he's kicking himself in the ass because he felt like he should say something more, and he says "fuck it," and he turns around and he says, "It will get better. It will get better." And
I think the other problem is the movie goes on for like a half hour too long after the climax too. Because once you
'cause the
find out
climax-
what's going on in the sequel, it doesn't have the same kind of climax as this movie.
Yeah, it doesn't conclude correctly. There were a lot of problems that could have been, I think, solved in the edit. And again, Nicholson was kind of on his own. And
Well, it almost kills the need for a third film at that point, because they are setting up the third film in the movie. Because for those who don't know what the third film was going to be about, was it was going to be called Get Us. Well, actually, no, I think it wasn't the air pollution part. It was how they could only build buildings so tall in LA or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Because of the air rights or whatever they call it. But either way, it had more to do with around the fact that he was getting a divorce, because they set up the fact that he has a fiance in the movie that we hardly ever get to see in the sequel, right? So that's the joke in the third film, is they're already divorced by the time we get to the third film. It was called Geddes versus Geddes or whatever, because it was supposed to be all framed around their divorce proceedings. While he's also dealing with this other case. But yeah, it all fell apart because of the second film, basically. But yeah.
Yeah, the second film tanked. Nicholson would never direct again because of it. Now, I wanted to get something out here because a lot of people aren't aware who this guy is. And he's in a lot of films. He was in the weird James Bond movie. Were you there for The Diamonds Are Forever when we made fun of it on Toxic Tuesday?
No, probably not, because I haven't really seen all the Bond
It was
stuff.
such a weird fucking movie. Him and his brother hold hands and skip along. It's so fucking weird. It really is. But this guy right there is the father of another famous actor. So here we go. I'm going to share the screen so you can see who I'm talking about. There you go. That's Crispin Glover, and his dad is that actor that you just saw rowing the boat in the movie. Crispin Glover, from Charlie's Angels, River's Edge, Back to the Future, Willard.
I never knew he was a Nepo baby.
You what?
I never knew he was a Nepo baby. I wouldn't have taken him for that.
Oh,
Considering.
Well, his dad's as weird as he is.
Well, that doesn't mean shit. It's still, just the fact that he was in the industry and he's in the, I'm just surprised when I find out some of these actors are actually got more connections than you realize. Because it is more about who you know.
It really is down the road. But I will say that I like it when acting parents dissuade their children from doing it. But that's Crispin's dad right there, and you can see it in his face.
Oh yeah, now that you say it, I can totally see it.
Definitely.
I like the fact that he doesn't wear it the classic way. He kind of pushes the hat down on his head.
No, Joe, that's
Which one
actually
is it?
not his only film he directed. He actually directed Going South, and did he do another one too?
I love Going South, by the way. I love that fucking movie.
Trying to think what else he directed, because that was his directorial debut, was Going South. I'm trying to remember if he did anything. Didn't he do was it Prizzy's Honor or something like that? One of them in between.
I'm looking
there,
right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he did at least one more, but I could be wrong.
I'm gonna double check real quick because I'm not sure. I just knew those two. There we go. Director. He directed 4 films total.
4, okay.
Oh, he was actually uncredited, but he did 1 day of direction for The Terror.
Oh,
Roger
okay,
Corman
wow.
let him do that. And then he worked as director in the 71 film Drive, he said. And then he did Going South, and then he did Two Jakes. And when Two Jakes flopped, he made the decision he would never direct again.
Okay,
I
I thought
like
he
this
did
scene
another one
because
of his
this
major
scene's
films,
romantic.
but I was wrong. Yeah. Who's this guy?
God, that movie is so weird.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
remember
funny
this movie.
seeing a private dick who has a line or a moral compass of sorts, I guess. That's kind of his gimmick. Because there is no real character to him, right? Like, even in the sequel, like, I would have a hard time explaining his character to you. Because really, that's the only
It's an
thing there
audience
is about him.
surrogate.
Yeah, the only thing about him is he has that line, right? Like, he won't cross the line of, you know, certain things, like trying to extort or you know, something to that, like whatever. He has like 2 or 3 times in the movies where he says that's where I draw the line. It's usually extortion is the one main one, but like, yeah.
I'm sorry, I got to point out that the racist fucking punchline to this joke of, yo, what's up with you? You're fucking like a Chinaman.
Screwing like a Chinaman.
Oh my God, that scene. And she's back behind him during that thing. He's also been a producer, by the way, not in very many films. He started back in the 60s. He worked on The Shooting, which is a Western he was in. Great cast in that film. Ride the Whirlwind, another Western he was in with a great cast. But then he made this weird fucking movie called Head for the Monkeys.
Oh, with the monkeys, yeah.
God, that was weird.
The one
And
with the Coke machine, right? In the desert.
yes. And then he did Drive, he said, the Two Jakes, and that's it. He never produced again. He was done. By the time he got the Two Jakes, he says, I'm just going to work for a paycheck. But he's said it before, like when Matt Damon is quoting him, he says, you know, I'm a great writer, right?
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that, yeah.
You know, and it's so true because so much of his dialogue he is reworked. I would consider him a better script doctor than a writer when it comes to his dialogue, because he really works his dialogue in and fixes it.
I'm wondering why
The
he never
line
tried the script.
in Forget It, Jake, it's Chinatown is such a great line because it's really about letting things be. Yeah. It's, you know, I use it all the time. It's something we learn in the military. It ain't nothing but a thing. It goes wrong all the fucking time. Don't worry about it. It's nothing but a thing. Don't fret over it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's done. But this really is, and it's not a very complicated plot-wise story. You think it is, and it's not. When you really look at the basic
Right, that's
story,
what I was getting at, yeah.
it's the twist of finding out because everybody's being dishonest with him.
Well,
Including
yeah, because the murder mystery isn't even the real mystery. It's when you find out the
incest.
The incest part, yeah. She's my sister. She's my daughter. She's my
The
sister,
slap scene
daughter.
that it's a meme. It's been used as parody, but the fact is that's an intense fucking scene.
It's insane.
It's a terrible scene because it's one of the worst things you could find out. And to admit that also, that's fucking terrible.
But I'm watching that scene knowing his own story. It's a mess.
Well, and
Yeah,
it
and
really
he wasn't
works.
aware yet.
Well, and it really works mainly because you got John Huston playing the role of the dad, right? Like that's
Right.
because you can't believe it. You're just like, what? No, because you
John
want to like
Huston?
that character. John Huston? Yeah, exactly. No, no way. And that's kind of like we were talking about Donald Sutherland the other day. That's what always made him great in roles because you never knew with Donald. He was either going to go good or stay good through the whole movie, or he was going to go bad at some point, and you just couldn't see the twist coming because he was real good at that shit. And he had that edge to him. John, no, he had that gravitas to him where it was like when that twist happens, you're just like, no. And then when you see the scene play out at the end, it's just like craziness. Like, I mean, I can't imagine what it would have been like in the audience seeing that at that time. Because I mean, that was probably one of the more salacious endings, of any film at that point. I mean, I'm trying to think of a more. I mean, maybe Rosemary's Baby be like the next closest thing, but there you go. Same director, same people behind it. So yeah.
It's really fun, just a phenomenal casting of this film too. I mean, down to a minor role that James Hong plays.
Right, who returns in the sequel, one of the two characters that does besides Jake, yeah.
And he's another
His
one of those.
His partner also returns in the sequel, doesn't get enough notice, but yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Slashford, I like that too, that John Hillerman's in this, and then a handful of years later he's in Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Playing an Englishman, and he's not. But good grief. You had James Hong in here in a minor role. Bruce Glover, of course, playing Duffy, that works for him. Roy Jensen, there's another guy that always plays heavies. He plays the cop that Nicholson finally has enough of and knocks him out. Uses a sap on him. If you guys don't know what a sap is, it's just a little tiny leather sap with a piece of metal sewed between, and it was used to knock people out with one hit.
Well, I think another thing that works for this movie is the audience, as who was it, Shanatsky or whoever said it, that basically, that Jack is the audience, basically, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of why he doesn't have a lot of characters, so we can kind of just project ourselves into him. But also,
I think that's a good idea why they took the narration out. Because
and here's a good scene. Yeah, this scene, the obituary scene, there's little scenes where it's like, as the audience, you're going, wait, Jack, go back and check what that was. Like here, you're like, you saw the shit in the little pond here, and we, and there's just the little bits here, like, it kills the glass or whatever it was he says. And he's like, yeah, it kills the glass. Like, and it's like, he doesn't understand. He's saying it kills the grass because it's salt water, and because he's all concerned with what is that in the water. And we find out later it's the glasses. Well, it's also the same thing with the obituary, right? Because she says, the answer's in the obituary. And we see the quick glance of the obituary, and we see the name that we it sticks out to us at first. And then he just puts it in his pocket, and he doesn't think about it again till later. But as an audience member, you're like, look at the obituary. Look at the obituary. So it keeps you going through the whole movie because you're like, you're with the character, but you're at the same time, you're like, come on, get with the program here. You're a little, just that half step ahead of the character almost. So what Polanski and Townsend did, and Jack did with their, working with the way they did it, is it kind of let the audience be just a half step in front of everybody enough to where you're just like, come on, and you're on the edge of your seat waiting to see what's going to happen next, or who's going to say what next, or what little new clue is going to fall out of somewhere. And that's why the end twist works so well, because you totally don't see it coming from anywhere, right? But it works still in the whole grand scheme of the story. So that's the brilliance of how it's put together. But try to explain this story to anybody. That's the hard part, right? That's the tough part, where it helps that there's movies now that are more like it that you can kind of go off of, like Roger Rabbit and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, it's simplicity thing. Guy was murdered not only because of property rights, but because my daughter is mine. That's it. It's just, there's all this other confusion because there's all this other shit going on. So naturally, you
Yes,
think
it
it's
looks
all
like it was over the
connected.
land rights when it was really over the daughter. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because
I'm
shit
trying to
like that's
remember
complicated.
what does he say. I forget at the end because Nicholson mumbles something, and Lopez is like, "What did you say?" Because the cop's about to get pissed at him, and he doesn't repeat it, and he says, "Get your partner out of here."
He
Before
was
he gets
trying
into trouble.
to. He was basically continuing his line of things like if you would just like something akin to that, like
He said what he said. I think it was only just a little.
Because it was such an unnecessary death. They didn't need to shoot her, but they did.
Well, and that's kind of what I like about this. And this time around, watching the sequel, because I never got that far before, was I didn't even realize until 2/3 of the way through the movie, because when they introduced the idea that because they have like I said, there's 3 people in the sequel that are in this movie where they actually even have the same actors, and that cop right there on the right,
That's right
what's his
there,
name?
Lopez. Yeah.
Lopez. He's actually like the chief or whatever now in the sequel,
Yep.
and one of his cops that are working there is the son of the cop that shot Faye Dunaway's character, and he's a little hothead to Jack constantly.
Oh yeah.
And they have that moment where he's about, and I can't believe that it didn't go down even worse than that, because he should have been arrested. Like, and maybe it was just because of the time period he got away with it, but like he pulls the gun on Jack in the fucking cop shop and he's gonna shoot him. And it's until Jack jumps on him and fucking pushes the gun down and he shoots twice on the ground. And Jack kicks the shit out of him, and he only gets suspended for a month or whatever, and Jack still gets thrown in the clink. But he's like, at that moment, I'm like, motherfucker, he should have not just been suspended. He should have lost his job and been arrested. That's attempted murder. It's
Yeah.
like, so basically what that's setting up is that, yeah, his dad was probably the same way, that he was just like shoot first, ask questions later kind of guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Now Lopez is the actor's name. He played Captain Lou Escobar. The actor David Keith from Officer and Gentleman and all that shit. He plays Detective Lieutenant Loesch, the son
Yes.
of the asshole cop in the first movie.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So they're like, I like that familial connection. Also, it does kind of let you know what happens to the characters afterwards. And that's where I said they kind of screw up with giving any kind of leaving anything open for a third film by the end, with that extra half hour at the end of stuff that you just didn't really kind of need. Because once you know the plot and you know Jack's going to let it slide, it's kind of the similar thing. It's not the exact same kind of story, but it is in a sense, because it's kind of the same thing here. Jack's forced to let it slide in this one. He actually has control over it in the second one, to where he just, lets it go because of the whole finally finding out that the other Jake is dying of cancer or whatever.
Oh my God, that whole scene with him. We need to do that movie here, because I keep telling people it's not a great film, but it's a really good film.
I appreciate it a lot more, especially watching it right after Chinatown. See, I think that was my other thing, is I ended up watching
Yeah, because there's like a 10 to 15 year jump, because this takes place before World War II.
And then the other one's after World War II. Exactly.
Like a few years after. It's like 947 to 50 is when it takes place.
Second one takes place in 49 specifically, that I remember, I think.
Okay. So I knew
it's
it was
just
like
on the cusp
right
of the
after.
50s, right after everybody got back from the war. And that, because that's kind of the whole plot, is the other Jake is selling all these homes to the GIs that are and the vets and stuff from World War II.
I'm reading the dialogue right now.
Yeah, I know the dialogue is good. And this is the coroner scene where they find out he had water, and there's that in the other part. No, yeah, he's gonna drown in
Not
the
salt
riverbed.
water.
Yeah. Not salt water. Yeah, well, this is where we don't pick up on the salt water kills the glass. Because the Chinaman keeps saying it kills the glass or whatever. He's like, yeah, it kills the glass. And we didn't realize he's saying it's killing the grass. Did you ever pick up on that? That's what he's actually saying. It's killing the grass.
Yeah, I got it.
And then it finally clicks for Jack, and he's like, oh shit, yeah.
Also, if he'd been a little bit more observant at the beginning, he could have actually have figured everything out.
Right,
They're
and that's
just
where I was
by
saying the
default.
audience is a bit ahead of everybody. Shanatsky, or but just a slight bit ahead of him, right, Shanatsky? Because
Yeah.
that's what I found myself through the whole movie. I'm like, check the fucking obituary; it's in your pocket. You know, it's like, go back there and see what was in the fucking pond. Like, what are you doing?
It's that funny clue that you get early on that you don't know what it's about. And then later something else triggers something. He goes, "Wait a minute, this?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then, "Wait a minute, I remember something about that. I have this clue that I found early in the film."
Yeah, yeah. And it seems so simple, but you're like, duh. Like, yeah. But I
Yeah, there
love that.
was an attempt to do a happy ending, but they stuck to their guns and made it a realistic ending.
Well, Polanski won that argument. He insisted on the tragic ending, and the guy he was arguing with admitted that he was wrong. And the tragic ending.
I was going to
the way
say,
to
I
go.
don't think it works
Something
any other
sorry.
way, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the level of emotional devastation, it's brilliantly brutal.
Well, not only that, with there's that whole moment of where you see the exchange of, how do I put this? Where when John Huston comes up and he embraces his
Daughter.
Daughter, whatever you want to call it, granddaughter, daughter. And it's like, okay, so the cycle of abuse is going to continue here, and there's nothing Jake can do about it, right? Because that's kind of the whole point of these films when it was supposed to be at the end of when you looked at all three of them and stepped back, was that like, this is Hollywood, this is California, this is how it was built on incest, greed, this kind of shit, murder.
Yeah,
and
everything
rights.
a grown boy needs.
Pretty much, yeah.
And by the way, there's a film that I consider really right up there with this film, and it's an Orson Welles film called Touch of Evil.
I
That
love
Touch
that.
of Evil
Oh,
has
great
that
flick.
same
Yes.
vibe. Has the same vibe.
I
Everything
think
is
you're
so similar.
I didn't think of that till now, how much that influence that movie probably did have on this one. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with
Definitely,
you.
you can sense that like they're in the same world kind of thing. That
The difference
gritty,
there is
dark, corrupt world.
exactly the corrupt one would be the Orson Welles character, of course, in that case. But yeah, like
The only thing that it was a huge mistake with that film, the only thing was Charlton Heston is playing a Mexican police officer. Unbelievable.
I
Just-
don't care. It's
Come on,
funny.
man. It's still a great movie, but goddamn, dude, really?
It just reminds me of the line in here. Do you accept people of the Jewish persuasion? I'm sorry, we do not. Oh, don't apologize. Neither does Dad.
One of my favorite lines in Ed Wood is actually is like they want Orson Welles is there and it's like they want Charlton Heston to play Mexican. Can you believe it?
In
What
that
was his
era,
response?
yes.
What was his response?
No, this wasn't what really happens. The movie Ed Wood when he meets Orson
Oh.
Welles.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
talking about
Just as a joke,
that scene
yeah.
in the bar, yeah. I would have loved to have seen the third film.
It'd have been interesting to see. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if it was supposed to be about like pollution or if it was supposed to be about the rights of how tall buildings are built there, because that is a big deal out in LA, right?
Yeah.
I know that.
Well, it's the same thing out in DC where I grew up.
Yeah.
In Virginia, it's like you can't have a building taller than the memorial or the Washington Monument. And it's for safety reasons, what they call it. God, this movie looks so much better in black and white. Look at this. These images. He did such a tremendous job of lighting this, his DP.
Jack is so young here too. That's the other thing.
He was on the cusp of being older. He was right around 40.
Just starting to get his crow's nest. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the time he did the movie The Border, he was just starting to age. Have you seen that movie, The Border?
I have it, but it's one of the few I haven't watched of his yet.
You should watch it. It's a good film. It's infamously the one where Nicholson wasn't available and they got Phil Hartman to loop for him doing some ADR.
Oh, that's right. You were telling me that. Yeah.
Going South, by the way, is another great film. Belushi's in that one with him. Nicholson and Belushi. It's a great premise to a story too, where you've got this guy that's going to be hanged unless a unmarried widow in the town wants to take him as a husband.
A landowning woman, yeah.
Landowning
yeah.
woman, yeah. And so she does. That's the only way he can stay alive is like fucking being married to
I
her.
cook, I clean.
That fucking movie. And it's straight up a comedy.
Yeah,
Nicholson is actually good at comedy. People don't realize it. But then you hear some of the quotes of, because I don't know if you caught it. I can play that video for you again if you missed it. Kevin Pollack relaying a story. I'll just play it real quick because I love this video.
Moment. Yeah. He gets to his trailer, he puts his hand on the door, and he stops and he turns to me and he says, "You want to know surreal?" And of course, I'm thinking, I'm sorry, Jack Nicholson, did you just ask me if I wanted to know what you think is surreal?
Yeah, right.
I pull up a chair and he says, "I'm doing this picture, Chinatown." I'm sorry, Jack Nicholson, did you just start a story with, I'm doing this picture, Chinatown, and I'm rehearsing this scene with John Huston. And you have to understand the man was like an idol of mine. He was a surrogate father. I worshipped the ground he walked on. He meant more to me than my own family. And while we're rehearsing this scene, I see over his shoulder, about 50 yards away, his daughter Angelica walking towards the set to visit. And I had just started banging her about 3 weeks before.
Oh my God.
And so I realized I hadn't told the old man yet. And I didn't know how to break it to him. I didn't want to upset him. I didn't want him to be angry with me. I didn't want to disappoint him. I would have killed her if that's what he wanted. And I'm thinking all these things as we're rehearsing the scene, and I come out of those thoughts and get back into the rehearsal at the exact moment that his character says to mine, "Mr. Giddis, are you sleeping with my daughter?" Now that's surreal. And he turns on a dime and he walks into his trailer.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's more like ironic.
Muslim. We have our Muslim uncle on the chat.
Yes,
Say
what's
hi to
up?
the chat, Gary? I don't think we said hi to them.
Well,
Yeah,
Tom and I got caught up into this stuff, and
Oh yeah.
you know how Tom and I get when we start talking movies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also Tim makes this video.
I do have some news. I have some news with it. Found an article. All the episodes for the prequel series for Netflix have been written.
For what?
Chinatown. Him and
Oh
Fincher.
my God.
Who wrote him?
Robert Towne.
Okay.
The guy can barely write anymore because of his drug abuse. I don't know, man. I don't know if he still got
I'm
it
just
in
the
him.
messenger, man. I don't know. We'll be.
Well, that's
better
news
now.
to me.
I love the character Jake Giddys, and if they do it seriously and treat it like a noir story and don't throw their stupid fucking identity politics into it, I'll watch it. But I got to tell you, man, Netflix is just not my favorite fucking streaming service. Let's say hello to our crowd here. We got Andy Morrow, Penny, of course, Awesome One, Slasher Fred, Zax. Tim is here too. Haven't gotten his video yet. Joe's Atmosphere, Yolanda
Yes.
Gaines, Plain Vanilla, Yo Muslim Uncle, also known as Our Muslim Uncle, and Putin's Cat.
I love that name.
Yeah, Putin's Cat, man, he fucks with me a lot on Toxic Tuesday. I like him a lot. He cracks me up.
I'm running Tim's video.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
You know, what we need to do is do a mesh up. Right when he's about to say Tim, cut in where they start yelling, the knights who were called Icky Icky.
Katang.
Oh, yay, knights who previously said knee. Because he didn't know what they said. Like, what did he just say? Mubi is cool. I've heard it's good. Have you tried it out, Tom?
What's that?
Mubi. It's a documentary channel.
No, I haven't.
I've heard filmmakers like it. It's for people who really are cinephiles. And I've been considering going to check them out because two of the guys that I follow that do breakdowns of Stanley Kubrick and Francis Ford Coppola films, they are big fans of Mubi, and so I'm gonna have to check it out, see if it's any good. What's this? I used to have Chinatown on VHS.
Oh, wow.
I found pawn shop for 25 cents, but I lost it. I vaguely remember the film. I need to watch it again alongside the two Jakes. Now, I am a physical media guy. I don't know if you heard why I stopped being a physical media guy, Tom. I had $10,000 worth of movies stolen from me.
Yikes.
And some of them were my daughter's films. She had like one row of her movies, and they're all on DVD and Blu-ray. And it broke me because I couldn't replace some of those films. And they were one of a kinds. Like I had the original printing of Running Time with Bruce Campbell that I did the art for. There's no replacing that. And this cocksucker that robbed me fucking took that. And he also took my love of collecting physical media. But I still have about 15 movies on Blu-ray, almost all Blu-ray. I get the 10 boxes when they come out, like The Thing. I have Blade Runner, the 5-disc set, you know. But past that, I just hardly collect physical media anymore. And but watching you talk about it and watching Greg talk about it makes me want to do it again. It's really neat that you guys talk about it, because if it weren't for you guys, that interest wouldn't be there.
I stopped collecting physical media because I literally have no fucking room.
Okay, who the fuck is Plain Vanilla?
I don't know. I think it's a new person.
Are you a new person, Plain?
I haven't seen that.
By the way, there's
I don't
nothing
remember.
wrong with Plain Vanilla. I like Plain Vanilla. I had some ice cream last night, Plain Vanilla. Didn't put anything on it. No sprinkles, no syrup, just fucking vanilla ice cream. Love it. Putin's cat. Has Putin cat said anything fucked up yet? Yeah, this
Oddly
guy,
enough,
his name was Dustin. I had helped him and his wife, and in repayment of me helping them, they broke into my house while I was at work and stole all my movies. And went around. I found all the pawn shops that they went to sell them at. Found every single one. Found every single movie they stole. I couldn't get them back unless I wanted to pay for them, because the state said, the prosecuting our office said, well, I didn't have serial numbers on them. And I'm like, I gave you every movie, and there's video footage of him selling these films, and that's not good enough. And the cops were pissed about it, that he wouldn't work with me.
that sucks.
Yeah, people are assholes.
Yep.
I guess I am new. I recommended the new Wim Wenders flick. Oh, hey, yeah. Plain Vanilla is my special treat. I like Plain Vanilla, man. I can't go into it. Just
What was the
much I
name
love
of
the
my
life.
band in high school?
Plain Vanilla?
Yeah, no, I'm kidding, but yeah.
I had a band in high school, just a bunch of crackers. That was the name of the band, just a bunch of crackers. I'm kidding. My band was called Smelly
You are
Pubes.
Oh, how
both
ironic. I was also in a
guys.
band called the Saltines. Sorry.
The Saltines. The band I was in high school was called the Smelly Pubes with Jim Woodward.
What did Anima say?
Anima?
I said you are both full of shit.
Oh.
I just diagnosed.
Yes.
Nothing new though.
Yeah, I like that is one of my favorite films of all time. The original, Wings of Desire. I do like that film. If you've never seen it, Tom, that's a film you should see. They remade it in America and called it City of Angels. And it's nowhere near as good as the original film. The original film is a little more abstract, and I like that about it. It's German cinema. I'm reading comments from the chat right now. We got this one. Thanks for having this cool get together. Cheapskate was my band. Cheapskate. Cosme. I've been streaming entire movies lately. I don't know what Cosme is. I've never heard of that one. I know what movie is. I don't know if Paris, Texas can be stopped. I don't know.
Topped.
There is a movie called Paris, Texas, which is a sequel to The Last Picture Show, which, you know, both films garnered a lot of critical praise and awards. And somebody goes, well, you ever seen it? And I'm like, yeah. And what'd you think? I can't even fucking remember it. I was so unimpressed with it.
There you go, Gary. That's who you can ask about that.
Oh, okay. I'll hit up Mark.
Mark knows everything. Damn it.
Mark is the one who helped me start doing this shit so we could do these slideshows.
I know.
He's a very helpful guy. Well, yeah, you know what I call him, Putin. I call him Mark C with the big D.
So he's a compact disc.
Because he has a giant D. He always wears the Detroit ball cap.
I know. I'm just being silly.
Oh, Jim
Thank you,
Watari
Jim.
gifted 10. Thank you, man. Can you see who it is, Martin?
Yes,
You
Martin
gifted
is
it?
here. I'm taking over for a couple minutes. It's your Muslim uncle, Radioactive, Deborah Cohen, Robert Den.
Robert Din.
Duven,
Yeah. Oh, they just popped up on my
Parrothead,
screen. So
Alatar.
there we go. Oh, Nadia. Okay.
Yeah.
Nadia and I are joining Greg next week, Tom. We're going to be doing a horror movie for 80s Fright. And do you remember what we're doing? I just forgot what I'm doing next week. Holy shit. I don't remember what the hell we're doing next week.
Wasn't Beverly Hills Cop 2 next week? Or
Invasion of the
Shut
Body
up,
Snatchers.
Shinatsky.
No, that's Wednesday. Hold on.
Shut up, Shinatsky.
Prince of Darkness.
Oh,
That's
yes,
what you
yes,
can
yes.
write.
John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. Classic horror film. Part of the Apocalyptic Trilogy. The Carpenter Apocalyptic Trilogy. So, I'm going to enjoy talking about that film because I love that movie. Any other good comments here? He still talks like you are. Let me get that large so I can read that. He still talks like you're doing now, but we all go to Cosme room for free with an accountant, watch the real media. Oh, okay, cool.
Is that the one that Teague is using too? I forgot what his.
Jim, it's still a great gift what you just did. So thank you so much, and everybody appreciates that.
Let me give him a video, if I can find one.
Yep. Thank you, Jim. You are a badass. Children should be named after you. Women should get wet at the sight of you.
Video at some point, save us.
Video. Killed the radio star.
Oh, fuck you, Loki.
I'm going to play video.
Now,
Black is not a video. Try again.
Well. I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
The following people are gay.
We know, Gary. We know.
One thing you'll find out with people who are real cinephiles is the criticism of one of the single most overused phrases in movie history. Tom, do you know what it is?
Sorry, I missed that. What?
The single most overused phrase in cinema history. It's used in far too many movies. And it's a ridiculous line. It shows it's a sign of bad writing, but here it was used as a joke.
Drawing a blank.
It is this line.
You just don't get it, do you? You don't.
Would you have a character in a serious film turn to say that to another person? It's clearly the writer didn't know what to fucking say. Bad writing. It's cliche. Overly used cliche.
And
It
it's
was
so
already
funny
a
because
cliche, and then they went past that.
yeah.
What, hon?
Every time we come across that when we are watching stuff, Gary and I, we both go, ah.
Yeah.
We hate that
Just
line.
don't get it, man. Just don't get it.
One of my favorite ridiculous ones is, I have important information. Meet me at this place at this time.
Yeah, why don't you just give it to me now?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah, that's another overused one right there. I got a bad feeling.
Yeah. And Joe, why are you not here?
So this is where she actually hires him, by the way. She hires Jake Giddies at this point, and which is weird because now he's been hired twice by the same person, but the first person was a phony, and this is the real.
Yep. A funnier thing, you always like your irony, Gary. The nosy detective gets his nose cut.
Yeah. It even says that to him. Nosy little kitty cat. And I love how they pulled that off, by the way. It's a simple gag. The blade itself, they show the switchblade work, and then they have another switchblade, and that switchblade has a tumble tip that when you move it, it tumbles left. And in the grip, there's a thing that squirts the blood. So when he pulls it out, he squirts at the same time, and it's just a perfect shot.
Yeah, but they eventually got so annoyed by having to explain that to people all the time that at some point they just said his nose was really cut. I found that funny.
Yeah, he went full method for this movie.
Which is funny because they actually have the makeup on in the sequel to show the scar on his nose, which is never there in any other movie, but yeah.
Yeah.
Did they find the guy in the fountain yet? I don't recall. They find him here in the canal.
Yeah, it's Jack that figures out that he drowned in the fountain, though. Or not in the fountain, but the pond or whatever you call it.
The pond in the backyard.
And he said bad glass. It's bad for the glass. I kept saying it wrong before. It's bad for the glass. Bad for the glass. Yeah, bad for the glass.
So yeah, because when he finds out that he was found near salt water, but he had fresh water in his lungs, and the glasses, his glasses being found in that pond, told him where it was. Here's the famous scene where he had those thoughts about, I'm banging your daughter in real life, and then he says, "Are you sleeping with my daughter?" It's like, talk about surreal.
It's really interesting villain because his mannerism doesn't change. Just you knowing more about him, what he's doing, just makes it fucking creepy.
Yeah, it makes him creepy and menacing.
Sorry, I haven't seen that because I'm off the socials when we're doing the show.
It's like, he'll just calmly be talking about, it's like, this fish is really good. You know what else is really good? Having sex with my daughter. That I enjoy a lot, Mr. Giddies.
I miss this. What's going on with Hemingway? What was this?
I have no idea.
The dead writer.
The 78 version is, I think it's a superior film to the original 50s film of Invasion. It scared the crap out of me.
It makes them a lot creepier, and a lot of the effects work is really good in the 71.
Yeah, the pod people thing, just all of it. At the beginning of the movie, we hear the name Noah Cross, who is only mentioned by, never seen until the middle of the movie, which is very similar to the original Jungle Book because with Shere Khan. Yeah. And it's important though that there's a rule in writing that you never introduce a major character after the first act. So he is introduced in the first act. Noah Cross character. We're having a raid, are we?
Yeah, I told you we're getting one.
Now, I love the original too, Yolanda, but I think that the 78 version was the superior science fiction horror film. But damn, that first one still. Great flick. But we're going to be doing it on Wednesday as a tribute to Donald Sutherland because we just lost him. In fact, on Monday, we're doing The Dirty Dozen.
I'm looking forward to watching that one. Because I know it's a must-see, but I haven't seen it yet. So that's cool.
It's one of my favorites.
Charles Bronson's fucking great in it.
Charles Bronson, the way he talks.
I mean, any movie that makes you cheer for the murder of women, it's doing something right.
By the way, there's a creepy scene at the beginning of the film, right as the invasion begins, where you see a priest in robes swinging on a swing set with a girl and on the other swing. And it's so fucking creepy. And did you know that's a cameo? That's Robert Duvall. Non-speaking part. It's just a cameo by Robert Duvall. I like the small town vibe too. But the interesting thing is with San Francisco is it's not that big a city. It's a really small city. It's all confined into that one fucking island. Man-made island, by the way. Fuck you if I'll ever live there. I've been there many times. I don't ever want to live there.
You definitely don't want to be there now. It was getting bad when I left the Bay Area, so I can't even fathom what it's like now.
That's interesting, Martin, because, you know, I have dated in the period of 10 years, 2 Charities and 2 Deannas.
Life's full of weird coincidences.
It got weird for me because I'm like, nah, I don't like this. I my rule of thumb from that point forward is I'm not going to date anybody with the same name ever again. I'm going to Europe to get my girlfriend.
Not first with my name. Okay.
Morty.
Yeah, that's another irony. Drowning in the middle of a drought.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to read these. The original Invasion of the Body Snatcher is basically a flashback because it's told by, because he's reporting to the military. They had to give you the happy ending, whereas the horrifying ending is what you get with Invasion 1978. That's a scary fucking ending. Not Eastern Europe, Putin. It's Western Europe.
No, it's the middle. I'm from Austria. That's right in the
she's
middle.
Part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
So German.
Fuck you, Martin.
She's
Not
from
fucking
Vienna,
German.
which is the Paris of Bavaria.
Oh, you needed to do that too. Oh, okay. Like you haven't got enough to me today, asshole.
James Coburn at the height of his powers, great stuff. If you are going to pay homage to Sutherland, though, his step as Hawkeye, yeah, absolutely. I love that film. If we end up doing it, we'll probably end up doing it on a Monday because it is a military film, despite its parody of the military. He's in another sci-fi film that I like a lot, The Puppet Masters.
Just because it's Military Monday doesn't mean we can't do fun stuff. We did Stripes on Military Monday, and that's a fun movie.
Well, I mean, Dirty Dozen's kind of a comedy. To see if, I'm
really looking forward to watching that.
The body snatchers. The aliens give up their plans and go back to their planet. Yeah, I've had the movie. I remember reading it in college. I'd never read it before college, and I got a copy of it. Finney, I think, is the guy who wrote it. I can't remember his name. Something Finney. Um, and I got a copy of it for college, and I had to write an essay on it. I was really flabbergasted how good it was. I was like, "This is a really good novel." In the same class, we also read The Puppet Masters.
Yep.
Yes, he did. Actually, this is true. In that horror film, he and Christie, actually, Julie Christie, did the dirty on camera. There's so many funny little films, and despite the tragedy of what happened, I think another film that's quite funny is The Great Escape, which we also plan to do. And that's another one with Charlie Bronson. Now, here's an interesting tidbit for you with Donald Sutherland in that film. The Dirty Dozen is he didn't actually have a lot of lines, but the director really took a shine to him and gave him more lines. Wait a second. Oh, about Julie Christie. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet he was. He's like, that goddamn Canadian.
Well,
Wait.
method acting.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Because is that Block who wrote I Am Legend? Or no, it's Matheson. That book, that was a crazy fucking book. Yeah, Richard Matheson. So I'm looking to see.
Okay.
I didn't know this, that he wrote Bram Stoker's Dracula screenplay for the 74 film. I'm not seeing the mention of that. Remember the novels? I looked up information. I've lost track of where we are in the film.
Oh, it's
And nobody's talking. If Tom and I aren't talking, nobody's talking.
I'm sorry. I was looking for some info on Wikipedia. Okay.
The scene is where he's finding out all these people in the nursing home own property and don't even know they own property.
Yep. It's in their name, but obviously they're not the owners. Still, though, it does have one of my favorite lines in the movie is when he's talking about is like, how much better can you eat? How much more do you need? The future, Mr. Giddies. And that's how you know the guy's certifiably fucking nuts.
Well, Putin, the film I think you're talking about is the Midnight film. I can't remember the name of it. Something Midnight. It was a spy film he did, and he murders the woman. Max Dugan Returns is a great movie. Yeah, fuck it, dude. Let's go bowling.
Yeah. Wish we got more movies in black Like, case in point, Godzilla -1 - color is fucking amazing.
I haven't the opportunity to see it yet.
Oh, I saw it in theaters, so
Dude, it didn't came to theaters that hit down here in Mexico. Netflix only have the color version.
I think this is close to the big revelation because he's going like, what is going on?
Is it? I think I found it. Yeah, 7 Steps to Midnight. Richard Matheson. That's that spy film or spy book and film that Sutherland was in.
Yeah. She's got an amazing bit of walls up, but you know, they're there for a good reason. Did she qualify as a femme fatale in this case?
No,
Not really.
Yeah.
Because she's a good guy.
Yeah.
She's a victim, if anything.
Yes, and definitely that.
Because they're definitely playing up that aspect with her, I guess, to try.
Well,
to
he doesn't trust her, so she might be. But the fact is, in the end, you find out she's not. She's protecting her daughter. Sorry, her sister daughter.
Yeah, it gets confusing when you're talking about Chinatown.
Imagine being a Targaryen.
Targaryens would be like, so
My daughter
what happened to me? My daughter's sister's marrying my son / cousin.
They don't have a family tree, they have a family labyrinth.
They have a family tower.
Eye of the Needle.
I would say it's a hedge.
Yeah.
I got the movie confusing. So I always thought that was the midnight film, but no, it's Eye of the Needle. You're right. Kate Nelligan is in that. Oh my God, she was hot in her day.
Yes, that movie. I don't know who was I talking to about Disclosure, but I completely fucked up the name of the movie. For a moment I thought it was called Harassment and not Disclosure. Yeah.
Yeah. They wouldn't make that movie now. That would be that'd be too pro man for Hollywood.
There's a lot of stuff you couldn't make today.
Well, you can. It's who's going to fund it. That's what I've realized.
Yes, the Targaryen family poll. Oh well, yes. Somebody has any info on this?
I don't know. Is she?
Wasn't that movie Mommy Dearest in the book related to it about her? You're muted, Gary.
Yes, Gary, you're muted.
The Mommy Dearest was based on the daughter's biography, and that she made up and may have exaggerated certain things because she was angry for being left out of the will. You never know, because one sibling says one thing, the other sibling says another. So he says, she said, literal. But Faye Dunaway was having problems with Roman Polanski making the film. They were constantly fighting to the point where Roman Polanski walked up to her and pulled some of her hair out.
Damn, boy.
And I don't know if it was for any particular reason. I just know he did that to her. Nicholson was having fights with Polanski too, and Polanski got angry at him. I was going to tell this earlier because he had this little Hitachi TV so he could watch the LA Lakers. And Polanski walked up with a fucking wet mop and broke the TV with it. He got sick of Jack's bullshit. Well, what he perceived as bullshit.
Well, I mean, if he's as long as he knows his lines and is showing up and not drunk, it's usually a good thing.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the 3 and 4 Musketeers.
Oh,
I've shown them
man.
to Anima. Anima's actually seen them with me. She enjoyed them. That was some
Yeah.
of Dick Lester's best movies. That's his name.
The
Dick
sword
Lester.
Yeah.
fighting in those, man, especially when they're like the ice, or was it the fight in the church in I think it's the 4 Musketeers with Christopher Lee.
Oh, Oliver Reed got hurt shooting some of those scenes, and the one actor, he died because of a stunt. The English actor that was in the 3rd film, and it was while he's filming the 3rd film, they had to get a stunt double.
Did we watch both of them, Gary?
Because he was dead.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to continue shooting a movie when you're dead.
He was in the Beatles films. Here it is. Let me find the actor's name, because he was in all 3 of the films. Roy Kinnear was his name. Roy Kinnear got injured, and they were shooting in Yugoslavia, and they couldn't save him. He fucking died while shooting that film.
Putin just said that.
Final Musketeer.
Putin's cat.
Yeah, but I'm not reading that. I'm looking this way because I'm reading and looking stuff up. Roy Kinnear.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
I'm glad Putin knows his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So Roy Kinnear is a real tragedy that he died, because he was a heck of a comedic actor.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that we did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like then this.
Yeah, he was the little bitchy girl's dad in Willy Wonka. I want this.
And he was the father of Rory Kinnear. He played Churchill in the Ministry of. I cannot pronounce the rest of it.
He also played the Frankenstein monster in the Penny series. Penny Opera, was that it?
Penny Dreadful?
Penny Dreadful, that's it. Yeah, the Frankenstein monster is played by Rory. Rory is also M's number 2 in the Daniel Craig films. The thing that really sucks is he doesn't trust her until fucking near the end of the movie.
And then she gets killed.
Putin, if it was only one case, maybe. Polanski has like a body count of underage.
And losing his wife is no excuse for anything. Yes, that's tragic, but that doesn't count as an excuse to be a shitty human
Here's
being.
my response to this. Roman Polanski, brilliant fucking filmmaker, Hollywood scumbag.
He's one of the cases where you just have to separate the art and the artist.
And I do, all the way up until the 70s. I do allow one film through that happened after 77, because 77 is when he did it. And the film I allow through is the Harrison Ford film that they did together.
Well, I got to admit that I so unliked Carnage.
Yeah, but he's a coward that never allowed his punishment to be delved out.
That is true.
He admitted he was guilty, was ready to plea deal, and then found out that the deal was going to be taken off the table and fled the United States. And it's a coward's move. He did.
I don't
He
care how
committed a
long
crime.
ago it was.
It's statutory. He's lucky he's alive, because if that had been my daughter, they would have never found his body.
Yeah.
Sometimes when an artist is too shitty, it doesn't work.
It's hard to, because like, especially when they're in the film or if they're in the show. And then it's just they make it impossible. And I get it when that happens. But for the most part, I can separate the artist from the art. I have no trouble with it. With Polanski, I will watch anything of his all the way up to 77 that he made and that one movie.
Hey man, I like Firefly. Joss Whedon still fired a woman for getting pregnant, so
yeah, but I've never liked him. He can go fuck himself.
Yeah,
he's a hack writer too.
Yeah,
he has great ideas though.
Come on, Muslim uncle.
Inshallah, brother. Inshallah. Oh, by the way, speaking of Muslims, when I talked to Christopher one of the first times, he actually thought, because I interact with Muslim uncle a lot on Twitter, that I also was a Muslim. I'm going, no, but thank you for the compliment.
Here's the movie I was talking about right there. Frantic.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's a really good film. And so it was my, I don't know what to call it, my one olive branch to him. I'll watch this one movie. But I won't watch any of his new films.
I do enjoy The Ninth Gate.
I saw that in the theater with my girlfriend at the time. And I put it right up there with Rosemary's Baby, where evil wins. And just, I was really bothered by that.
I saw Rosemary's Baby, and to this day, I regret watching it. Somebody made me watch it. I don't remember who, but yeah.
Probably Gary.
No. That was a long time ago. 15 years
Oh,
or so.
okay.
Yeah, that is a good line when she yells at he. I don't think she says he owns the police. He is the police, I think is what
No, he owns the police.
Does she say that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Because either way, both of them mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kings, that is gold if you have it on VHS.
Yeah, because nothing in this world makes me happier to watch a film and have to worry about tracking.
If you have that on VHS,
I just shit on you guys for
to this date. You don't play that, and every time you play it, you're risking to destroy it. Jesus! Oh,
I'll tell you what. I had a copy of
heretic.
Blade Runner. I had a theatrical cut of the Blade Runner film, and I snapped that thing so many times, and I pulled that whole thing apart and reinsert it so I could keep watching it. I had seen that thing so many fucking times; it was ridiculous. Oh, I love VHS too. I'm just fucking around, dude.
Yep. No,
But like I said, yeah, Blade Runner snapped.
Yeah.
I think 4 times, and I had to repair it 4 times.
Oh, okay. Okay, here. Oh, Chris is in the house.
Hey, Chris. Hey, buddy.
Hi, Chris. I wish you would join us sometimes on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Only sometimes?
Well,
I've always believed that he was
I know
a
he's
Satanist.
busy.
Yeah. Though my own interpretation for the Ninth Gate, or at least one of them I like a lot, is the idea that he actually is the devil. He's just trying to get back to hell. And that's actually what's going through the movie.
Because his first film that shows the bad guys win was the Fearless Vampire Killer. It's a comedy, and it's fucking funny. I really do like the film, but my God, the vampires win.
The weirdest part about that movie is it spawned this huge-ass musical over in Europe.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Jim Steinman did the music for, was it Dance of the Vampires, I believe it's called.
Dance of the Vampire, yeah, that's huge, man. That's huge. And it's good.
Yeah. They've tried to bring it over to the US, but it never works, even though the songs are originally written in English, including, if you ever watch Streets of Fire, Tonight's What It Means to Be Young. That's, I believe, originally for that.
Well, the main duet between Sarah, the female lead, and the vampire is Total Eclipse of the Heart. They also did a bit, but that's the song. I really like that musical. I've seen it live too.
Nice. And he's finally putting it together. It took him a while. Something ocean. Something.
It's deep within the third act, man. He begins to really understand. And it's like, the thing that I like about classic detective stories, they're kind of usually, like Columbo in particular, follows that classic theme that he's already figured it out. He's just got to put the pieces together so he can prove it. And this, on the other hand,
Columbo likes to play too. He's like a cat playing with a mouse before killing it.
Oh, he is.
He enjoys that so much.
In fact, this morning I watched the second Columbo film that was made back in like 69 or 70.
Ransom for
Ask and you shall receive.
God!
So here we go. Now he
Speak of
finds
the
the
devil.
glasses, and now he understands salt water very bad. Very bad for glass.
I don't remember this movie being in black and white.
It's
Oh, it's
not.
not.
My copy is.
It's been a while.
It's better. It has a different feel to it in black and white.
It does. It looks like it's kind of got that old Roger Corman, Francis Ford Coppola feel to it, actually.
It's, if you pay attention, like in the interior scenes, look at the way they lit it. They lit it. Oh, I love those old houses right there. The what do they call them? Craftsman houses. God, I love those houses. But absolutely pay attention to the lighting and the way they use shadows. That is a film noir style. And he used that in a color film, and it looks great, but when you take it down to black and white, it really stands out.
Yep. Sadly, in this case, the best solution would have been just stealthily kill Cross, like sneak up on him from behind and just shoot him in the back.
Yeah. By the way, yes, that is James Hong.
Yep.
James Hong, because I'm the founder of the Blade Runner fan club and all that shit. And so I was doing interviews with a lot of the cast and crew. And James Hong had called my house and left a message when I came home from work. I was greeted by this message. Hello, Gary. This is James Hong. I only do eyes. Call me.
Nice.
Hong's career is totally about eyes, green eyes, or eyes that he made.
He's still acting too. I just saw an interview.
In his 90s, still going.
He's 95 years old and he's still doing stuff, which is just doesn't need to
get around, but he still does it.
I mean, you gotta love it if you're still doing it at 95. But
yep,
that's impressive.
All right, this is it right here. This is where everything is unfolded as what's really going on. He starts slapping the shit out of her.
The slapping is what is unfolding.
And the slapping is real, by the way, because they kept trying to do it fake and it didn't look right. So she said, "Oh, the hell with it, just hit me."
Normally, I have to drink a bit more to slap a woman like this, but we're paying me, so.
Oh my God.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I've got to see what the fuck's going on here. What is going on?
Oh,
here?
the doggo.
Oh, is that what that is?
Oh,
What is it?
Yes, an alien dog.
yeah, this is. I'm only tuning in for a little bit because I'm working on. I can't quite get the angle right. I'm doing fur work on this guy.
Film director that can't figure out the angle.
He's kind of got a mustache like James Hong a little bit at the moment. You gotta trim it back a little bit.
I only do pies.
No,
Pain.
don't go any further, please.
Listen, buddy, that's extra.
That's extra.
Hey, we're monkeys in the house.
Yeah, I can't stay long, but it's funny because I loved Fearless Vampire Killers. I did like The Ninth Gate just more than anything because it was an opportunity for Johnny Depp to kind of be an actor, not just a cartoon character, which it's always fun when he plays the cartoon. Yeah, it's always fun when he plays those roles, but it was nice to see Johnny Depp actually acting for a change. And it was a very interesting story, but you know, and again, I don't have any real evidence for this, but there's been stories for years about Polanski being a Satanist, and there's also been stories about Johnny Depp being a Satanist. I don't know if those are true or not. With Polanski, it certainly seems to be a reoccurring.
Polanski is stated that he is not, that he is an atheist. But
that's
so many members of the atheist group are the ones who started that Satanist religion that's hitting all the schools and trying to get statues of Satan put up.
And that's exactly it. They use atheism as a front to deny the existence of God. Yeah. But then what they go ahead and do after that is they go, well, there's no God, but there are deities and there is magic. So essentially what they're trying to do is get people to practice magic and the worship of essentially golden calves outside of that, and they call that atheism. But really it's when you see how closely a lot of these atheist organizations and Satanism are tied together, and the fact that a lot of atheists and I really think that's kind of a front, use like nicknames like Lilith and Mephistopheles and that sort of thing. It's definitely kind of like a cover. But I mean, we even see with the Acolyte at the moment that they're trying to normalize things, like they're trying to make the Force into black magic.
By the way, that has done more damage to Satanism than I think even God could have.
You gotta be careful when playing with this stuff. And I really like Johnny Depp, so I would like to think that he's not a Satanist, but you notice that Roman Polanski's, he was one of the first people in entertainment to really kind of drive what you pointed out, Gary, which is the evil wins narrative. In Fearless Vampire Killers, it was just, the essentially good, the force of good was just incompetent. And it was fun, and it was fun to see them chasing after Sharon Tate in a, low-cut dress. You really, in that movie, get a sense of what a crime against humanity it is that Sharon Tate was murdered by the Manson family. But at the same time,
on the way out, they were having marital problems at the time, and it looked like they're going to be on the kaput, which is why the hairdresser, what's his name, was there around her all the time, because he was waiting for them to break up so he could get her back.
As a vulture.
Sebring. Yep. Well, Sebring was dating her first, so he was just waiting for her to get done with Polanski so he could get her back.
As a vulture.
I mean, that's the weirdness around all of that, though. You can understand why conspiracy theorists have a field day with it. It's like the fact that the Manson family shows up there and it's claimed to be a case of mistaken identity, or the fact that they were looking for someone else, like the owner of the house or something like that. But anyway, it's weird. But going back to the whole idea of evil wins, I mean, what do we see at the moment? We see Rosemary's Baby, like you said. Now, in my mind, I do believe that the author of Rosemary's Baby wrote a sequel where the Antichrist is actually they're trying to turn him away from evil. And then the Ninth Gate, like Shinatsky said, the theory around the fact that he is, Johnny Depp's character is the devil and he just doesn't remember it. And essentially that's clued in at the end when the I forget the name of the guy that hires him, but you know, he's trying to summon the devil. The devil doesn't show up, but Johnny Depp does. I think he says
Franklin Jella's character. Right?
Yeah, Franklin Jella's character.
Hey, I gotta play a video, dude, because
go ahead.
there's no way to get a break in when you're talking. I just get interrupted. There you go. That's for radioactive in our audience. So, continue.
Oh no, it's very interesting, and you know, even in Chinatown, you know, all of his efforts really come to nothing. You know, it's just Chinatown.
Which is, you know, something he was dealing with is because he helped somebody before and they ended up being killed.
Yeah,
and so this is an echo of the exact same fucking thing happening to him.
But it's certainly something. Polanski did it with more finesse, so it felt, you know, it felt raw, it felt real, it felt shocking. These days, what we're seeing is just, you know, Hollywood idiots trying to normalize it, whether it be in performances or The Acolyte or that sort of thing. And it's, and like Shanatsky said, it's, you know, people are starting to realize it. They're starting to go, wait a minute, what is all of this? Because we're also seeing, you know, what doesn't get reported on the media is that these satanic cults are doing human sacrifices. And there was just 6 kids on the border. I think it was an MS-13 gang, but they rescued 6 kids that were being prepared for human sacrifice because that particular segment of that gang were Satan worshipers. They had altars. They had killed other people before as sacrifices. So, you know, weird times, man.
It may not have been sacrificed to Satan per se, but to the Santa Muerte. Is not the same thing. It's equally horrible, but not the same cult.
The reports I saw on it was that it was actually satanic, but I can't speak to the difference, so you could be right. You know, it's just a fact of 2024. There's still people that believe that, you know, in worshiping something antithetical to God and sacrificing human beings to it. And you know, the weird thing is that I've just been thinking about this a lot because since I got out of Hollywood, I was one of the early Exodus people. But a lot more people are leaving Hollywood now, and I talk to them, and they start going like, "Oh yeah, I had to get out. You know, I couldn't afford it, and that sort of thing. Besides, there's some weird stuff going on." And I'd say, like, "What do you say?" And they would tell me some story about some high level person in Hollywood who was an unironic Satanist. And at first I was like, "Get the hell out of here! No, like, shut up." But then I started to see a pattern. More people would move away and they'd feel more comfortable talking about it. And they go like, "Oh yeah, such and so, I went to some party and they were like, you know, it was like a 4 a.m. party and they were doing bloodletting and casting spells." And I'd be like, "What?" So then I decided to start just asking people like, you know, what have you ever encountered something like this? And they're like, "Oh yeah. And everyone would have a story to some degree or other. I have my own stories, but they're more of just like things that I came across that I didn't think much of at the time because it's part of the goth punk scene. I just thought it was people being edgy. But I realize now, you know, I talked to one special effects artist. I asked him, and he said, "Well, I have had people just, you know, like weird orgies and like rooms and stuff." And he said there was one actress that did try and sign me up for Amway. Nothing? Okay, never mind. Anyway, it's just weird kind of seeing all this stuff.
Who else is probably a Satanist? Mr. Cross in this movie. Continuing, Gary.
Yeah. Try to get us back on track here.
Absolutely.
I will point out something interesting here is the incident with that 13-year-old girl took place in the downstairs part of the house of Jack Nicholson's home. And another celebrity caught up in the middle of that was Angelica Huston, who got busted for cocaine possession at the same time that they were doing the bust for everything else. And they used that to get a statement from her. But she really couldn't tell them much. She goes, yeah, I saw her. I didn't know she was underage. She was just some girl that was with him. She looked legal. She looked like an adult. So, but that happened.
Yeah, you got to wonder.
That happened at Jack's house. So, but anyway, so this is the culmination of everything now. Jake is now lying to Lopez again in order to get out. And this is when he shows up at another actor's house who's in the film. I just forgot his name. Italian. He played Rocky's brother-in-law, Paulie. I can't think of his name, you know. And he was his first client that we meet at the beginning of the film. He says, "You don't owe me anything else if you do this one thing for me. Fuck out of here." And it's a fun scene because they're watching the house and he's sneaking out, hiding in the guy's truck as he pulls out and heads down the street.
Yeah, Burt Young is, and I'm sorry.
Burt Young. I love that guy as an actor. By the way, that movie, The Grifters, tough film, dude. Tough movie. What a dark ending.
I haven't seen that one.
You know, she's his mother, John Cusack's mom, in it. And she murders his girlfriend because she's trying to move in on the money. And she confronts her own son, Cusack, and then tries to put the make on him, going, "I'm not really your mother," and tries to put the make on him. And he rejects her. And then she gets angry over the rejection and smacks the glass that he's drinking out of. And the glass cuts his throat open. And he dies right in front of her. And then she flees with the money. Dark fucking movie.
Yeah.
Kind of the last noir movies. I guess this came out in the 70s, right? This came out before Blade.
Technically, this is still neo-noir, but it's shot the way old noir films were shot. So it follows all of the blueprints of how to make a noir film. And it is a period film. Whereas other films like you see today, like The Grifters, that's neo-noir because it's the new version of noir.
Did you ever see The Two Jakes?
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier.
Oh, okay. I never saw that one. Did you guys like it?
Yeah. I don't think it's as good as this film, but I think that it's a damn good film. It's a damn good movie and worth a watch. And we're going to talk about it eventually on this show.
I thought it was okay. I still do think it's a bit too long. Like
it's 30 minutes too long.
Yep.
That's a problem with a lot of films.
Oh shit. Awesome One has predicted that I die in the back door.
Yeah, your body.
Yeah, that's Burt Young. That is Burt Young from Rocky. Yes, it is. And I'm not really going to die on the back door. Goodness gracious, baby.
I'm not allowing it.
Oh, Mr. Goodies. Mr. Goodies. The way he
I
talks.
don't want to know.
Also, everybody knows you're going to die while taking a shit, Gary.
Well, The Two Jakes flopped, which is why Jack Nicholson never directed again. He says, "That's it. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore."
Oh, I didn't realize he had directed that one as well.
Yeah. It was the last try. And when it flopped, he gave up. It cost him his friendship with Robert Towne.
By the way, Towne has written a Chinatown prequel because I imagine you weren't here earlier.
I was. Chris wasn't.
Yeah. For Netflix with Fincher. So who knows?
Oh, God. That sounds unbearable.
I have my doubts because he lost his ability to write due to drug abuse. And I just don't know if he can pull it together. I just don't think he can. I really just doubt he can do it.
Well, I think you know, or maybe you don't, but I am one of the few people that just cannot stand David Fincher movies. I feel like he's got a talent for making things as bland as possible. But I know that's a controversial take.
No, you're allowed not to like a
I
filmmaker.
just suspect that he kicked your puppy or something. I just get this feeling.
He kicked my favorite franchise, is what he did. But I still think he's kind of a dreadful. I don't know. He's one of those directors. He's a really good director on a technical level, and he pays attention to things like, he obsesses about things like white balance on like a portion of a frame. And he doesn't really seem to believe in actors in the sense that he'll, do the Kubrick thing like 90 takes to get something that really you probably got on take 5. And I'm sure his editors hate that as well. But I don't know. It's just, it's like listening to, I don't know, the fusion jazz. Like, yeah, it's technically good, but it's just kind of like, that's all it is people who just obsess over scales and getting chords just right. And, I never really feel any heart to his stuff. Polanski.
It's the difference between creative and being an engineer. I want to get to the end of this because we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
In the final scene here, I want the only thing I've got left. I don't blame myself because he's talking about the incest. They're capable of anything, drinking. And it's an intense scene because Giddy's is just trying to get the fuck away from. And here he goes. Because this is after he'd already used the sap on him. So he's wearing the bandage on his head. So where's the girl? And by the time they get there, the cops are already there too.
You just had to go and confront him instead of getting her out.
Hey, Victor, what's up, dude?
What exactly was the
That's a
original?
new name,
She just
too.
shoots and murders him, and then they go walking off into the distance, or
He gets him out of there. As I recall, he gets in the car and drives him out of there. Yeah, Bruce Glover. That's Crispin Glover's dad. He's one of his partners. That's him in the foreground right there in that shot. And he's just as weird as his son. Chip off the old fucking block. And I actually met him at a dinner party, him and his girlfriend. Well, the girlfriend he was dating at the time, she worked as a mortician. And they were both very goth at this party, like wearing black and everything and makeup. And
which Glover is this?
But Crispin, the son.
Oh, okay.
And they were the nicest fucking people I ever met. But they were talking about weird shit, man. Talking about working with the dead. And I'm like going, how do I see myself out of this conversation? Somebody else get my attention.
Now you know how we feel, Gary.
Crispin is very talented, but not. Yeah, this is the thing that pisses me off is that he gets away with shooting her. It's like somebody should have stopped him. Jake tries to. There was no reason to shoot her.
The futility of good intentions. That's the ending of this movie.
Well, for a moment, you hope that he missed and that she's driving away, and then the car crashes and you hear the horn because she fell on the
girl screaming.
The girl screaming, yeah.
The girl screaming.
It's like, fuck.
And
yeah,
loving grandpa grabs his next girlfriend.
As little as possible.
As little as possible. That's it. As little as possible. What? What's that? Why don't you get Jake out of here before he gets in trouble? And then he tries to turn back, and his other partner goes, "Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown."
Yep, which is why it's called that in the first place. because you don't know if you're doing
But this
harm
is
by helping.
he's a broken character because he's already guilt-ridden over the first time that happened. Here it is again. It ends badly. Now look at that shot, how that's lit. That was lit like an old movie. I love the way they shot this film. I really do. And that's why when somebody recommended watching it in black and white, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try that. And boy, if it doesn't fucking work.
You know what other movie I get reminded of now that I think about it? The ending of this reminds me a lot of the ending for Blowout.
Well, Blowout, yeah, because that movie got panned pretty badly by critics. I like the movie. It's John Lithgow's first major role that wasn't comical. And he plays a horrifying character. Brian De Palma is usually at his best when he's doing, horror thrillers like that. And you've got a guy that's a sound engineer. All he does is record sound. He's like Bill Burt or Ben Burt, the sound guy for Star Wars. He goes around and records things and makes sound effects. And they're making a movie where the girl screams and she's got a horrible scream. So he goes recording. And at the end of the film, he actually has a recording of her death, her scream, Nancy Allen. And he puts that in the fucking movie. It's a great fucking ending.
His soul is crushed. His soul is crushed just like Jake at the end of this movie.
Yep. Couldn't save the girl.
I mean, that last line, it's Chinatown, is pretty much summing up the entire story. It's, to me, that was always saying, like, what we see today. Everybody knows what they do. Nobody seems to be able to do anything about it. And the people who would have justice are pretty much powerless in the face of it. And
that's human history. The rich and powerful have always abused those under them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very fatalistic way of looking at it. I think there's more to it than that, but as far as the theme for a noir movie goes, that's exactly, you can't get much better than that.
Well, Victor, you're talking about movies that were produced by pretty much the same guy, Robert Evans. Robert Evans was always looking for a type, whether it was the actor or for the movies. And he's the one who pushed to do Love Story, which has that down fucking ending because the girl dies. It's based on a true story. And he pushed for that film. So many films he pushed to get made. And Paper Moon's one of those films, kind of tough to watch, especially knowing that that's his real daughter in the film and how fucked up she was because of the way he raised her. But Brian De Palma is a very good director until he gets political, and then he makes garbage.
Yep.
History of Hollywood.
Yep.
All right. Well, I only intended to drop in for a few minutes because I got caught in my head in the Ninth Gate thing, which is actually my favorite Polanski movie. But we're gonna go. We got stuff to do. So have a good weekend, everybody.
Hey, here's a joke for you before you go. What goes into 13 twice?
Oh my God.
But I missed the punchline. What was it?
Yeah, because Martin stepped all over it. Roman Polanski goes into 13 twice. Yeah. I told that joke in high school.
Boom, canceled.
Well, Gary, it was nice to have Pop Culture Minefield while it lasted.
I was in high school and sitting in the lunchroom, and somebody said something about Roman Polanski and that the charges, and he fled America and all this shit. And I said, yeah. He says, but he led to a great mathematical solution. He goes, really? I said, yeah, what goes into 13 twice? And he goes, I don't know what. And I went, Roman Polanski. And he went, oh.
I had a good joke too, but now it's completely left my brain.
It's left your brain.
That sucks. I bet yours was funny, Chris.
By the way, I heard Tom is back. So
Is this another joke?
Problems. No, Tom is back. And I was looking at that stuff, the Cotton Club murder. In the early 1980s, Evans was introduced to theatrical impresario Roy Radin.
Yeah, they only met like once, but he was wrapped up in the whole thing because the chick that conned him used him and the movie, The Cotton Club, to con.
Karen Greenberger? Is that who it is?
The murderer chick, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how that he met. It was like just a tangential of knowing each other. And just because Robert Evans, like, you know, his name sells headlines. So yeah. Otherwise he had very little to nothing to do with anything. He was just a character witness, basically, I guess, or whatever you call it.
You're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go, but I remembered my joke.
Oh, okay.
It just, I thought of it because of getting canceled, and then it left my brain. But it was there was my daughter was talking to me about pronouns, and I said, like, I've never really met anybody that has actually introduced themselves to me with their pronouns, except for a donkey that I met here in Texas, whose pronouns were he and haw.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I met him just the other night on another show, and somebody was trying to talk about inappropriate jokes, of which somebody said something about Transformers, and I immediately said transvestites, she-males eating pies. It just popped into my head. I was like, I'm probably going to get canceled for that joke.
Yeah. No, it's just, Gary, remind me to hurt you when I actually meet you.
Yeah, that's top of my list of things I'm going to remind somebody to do is to hurt me.
I was just proud because I thought that was the first cancelable dad joke, which I, of course, being a dad, lots of dad jokes. All right, gentlemen and ladies, have a great weekend. God bless you all. And yeah, bye.
Bye, Chris.
Bye, Chris. That was a great sign off, right?
Ladies, which one of us is the second of the thing?
Gary, duh.
We have ladies here?
It's 80s night. Yeah.
However, forget about this stream. It's Chinatown.
He's
Yeah, did I
80s
tell you
gay,
they
which
claimed
is
it?
2000 straight. So just keep that in
Yeah,
mind.
it's 2000 straight. I told you they claimed that song, right?
Oh, did they?
80s
Oh.
straight. Yeah, they did. Totally claimed it. I'm like, mother.
Oh, remember last time we had to change the we changed the key of it and it worked, remember?
Well, that's what you suggested, and I haven't tried it yet. Our next show is this coming Thursday, and I'm going to try it again and see if that works.
Yeah, try changing the key, see if that doesn't help.
Because I think that will work. But anyway, it's going to be fun. I don't know. I'm looking forward to that. That's you like that movie, Prince of Darkness? Tom?
That's the only John Carpenter movie I haven't seen in its completion, to be honest with you, as far as I know.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah, really. I have it. I've seen bits and pieces of it. It's one that I just haven't sat down and watched all the way through.
Yeah, the only John Carpenter film I don't like is that fucking Ghosts of Mars movie. Vampires is even more enjoyable than Ghosts of Mars.
Oh, I liked Vampires. But and the weird thing is I thought I had Ghosts of Mars. At least I know I did back in the day on DVD, but for the life of me, I don't know what I did with it.
Vampires is great up until his entire crew gets whacked, and then it becomes another movie that's not nearly as good.
Yeah, it's and the jokes at the end were I don't know. I was like, God, man, there are so many things I liked in that movie, and I think it's around the third act I felt like it was falling apart for me. But the first part of that film is really good. It's one of the few times I'll watch a Baldwin brother in a film and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's like, by the way, Catholicism made vampires. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Body Bags is another good one. I like that. It's an anthological film, but I do like that film. I'm very big defender of Memoirs of an Invisible Man. I liked the movie. I thought it was good. I think that Carpenter started getting shit on by the studio system, and they can go fuck themselves.
Well, I imagine
it
you
was
must
his.
love when Mark Hamill
It
kills
was
himself.
his because he's not a big fan of Spielberg and Lucas, and that was his attempt at doing a Spielberg movie, the way he thought it should be done, and it didn't do well. I feel bad for him over that because I thought it was a solid flick.
I think he wanted to be more mainstream than he actually was, instead of where he basically had a huge cult
He
following.
wanted to be mainstream, but he didn't want to make mainstream films. The thing is a masterpiece. It absolutely is. Is it his only one? No, I think he made a few of them. I think that Halloween, The Fog. I mean,
Big Trouble in Little China.
The second favorite movie of all time. But I do like the top 5 films are Ridley Scott and John Carpenter. Number 1, Blade Runner. Number 2, The Thing. And then it's just a rotation of Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, and Ridley Scott's first movie, The Duelists.
I have my own theorem on Big Trouble in Little China that I don't think anyone else has. I'll just stay here. What I think actually goes on is that the actual curse for David Lopan is Jack Burton.
Please elaborate.
Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out how in any fucking world that makes sense.
Think about it this way: he was cursed by the gods, right? So what's the ultimate thing? He loses his form, he loses his flesh, and he gets it all back. And the thing that takes him out isn't some great warrior like Egg Shen. It isn't Wang. It's a fucking idiotic foreigner.
Well, he is an idiot, but he's a lovable idiot. He is, and a lot of people make the mistake when they watch the film because I don't think that's. I think that he's just the foil to Lopan. I don't think he's the curse. The curse is the curse. But when it comes down to it, Wang's the hero of the film.
Oh yeah, he totally.
Wang's the main protagonist. What?
I hate to interrupt, but Tom needs to go. So,
Tom, buddy, you get out of here, man. Get going. I got tired of you an hour ago.
Yeah, no, I'm dealing with some stuff here anyway. So take care, you guys. I didn't expect to be able to show up, but it was just so happened to work out. So,
all right, buddy. See you next week.
Yep. Take care, guys.
Beverly Hills Cop 2.
That's right.
See you later, buddy.
Deuce.
So,
Later.
Jack Burton, is a play on because he's done twice now. They wrote characters that were intended to be played by someone like John Wayne or Clint Eastwood, and Kurt Russell nails doing an impression of both of them. Because for Escape from New York, he's doing an semi-impersonation of Clint Eastwood. Call me Snake, And then we get over to fucking Jack Burton, and oh my God, he walks like John Wayne, and he swaggers and he talks like him. What do you mean, Wang? He says, "Hey Jack, I thought you
whoa,
man, we lost my girlfriend." All right, fine. So you get this whole thing with him at the beginning going, "Oh, I thought you said you're going to follow me home." He goes, "That's what I thought." And then I came to my senses. Get in the truck with me. He doesn't trust him. I love that shit. Big Trouble. What a great movie. They've been planning for a while. The Rock was going to do it, and I don't think you can do it, and fans will accept anything but Kurt Russell being in it. You could have The Rock in there, but they better fucking have Kurt Russell as Jack Burton, not fucking half drunk John Wayne.
Yeah.
Anima hated the ending though. She got really mad when he wouldn't kiss her. She's, "Aren't you going to kiss her?" And he goes, "No." I love that ending that he doesn't kiss the girl. I'm like, fuck yeah. She just has to rely on the fact that he'll come back. I like that. And they had intended doing, because from what we heard recently was that it was supposed to be the ongoing adventures of him and that monster.
Yes, they
That
should
the
have
monster
gone
becomes
with
his partner. Becomes
with
his
the formula of every each way to but
it's
lose.
free now. That demon is free. So he just bonds with the fucking Jack Burton character. I'm like, I would have fucking paid good money to see that. Hell yeah.
They did do sequel comics, and you find out that Jack was married to a vampire.
See there, you lost me. I'm out with that.
Yeah.
It just sounds dumb.
Yeah.
So
I didn't write it. I'm just
Ernie,
you know.
I was just talking about you. I was talking about how you hated the ending when Jack Burton wouldn't kiss the girl. She said, that's stupid. He should just kiss the girl. It's just stupid. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're trying to play on the classic hero that looks at the girl, and through look, you know that they have feelings. But you're not going to kiss her, are you? And he goes, nope, not going to do it. Nope. And I don't know. As a guy, I thought that was great. I love that ending. But well, I don't think we've done that one yet, have we, Martin? Big Trouble?
I don't know. I have.
I know we're going to do Escape from New
conflicting
York on
memories.
Military Monday. We're going to be doing Escape from New York on Military Monday.
We did Escape from New York.
Did we already do it? I
Yes.
don't remember. Dude, I do so much stuff. I have no memory. But
You know, you could
I love that movie.
The other day, I was viewing the history of the videos on the channel, and I was, oh my god, we did this, and I was there. I can't remember.
It happens all the
Welcome
time.
to
man.
Getting Old.
So, but anyway, let's wrap up here. Let's get the hell out of here. Anima, yeah, she's there. She says it is such a dick move. Not kissing her. Yeah, so Dennehy would have been terrible in that role. I think every role that Kurt Russell has ever played has been perfect.
Well, he's a working class actor. It's, he treats it like an actual working class job, unlike others who make it about them.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys knew this, that Dennehy had to apologize back in 2000 because he had made statements that he had served in combat in Vietnam when in fact he hadn't. And it's considered, I'm like, he did serve, but it's still considered a form of stolen valor. So he had to write an apology letter, and it hurt his career. It's sad. I liked him in Cocoon. I liked him in FX and FX2, and I liked him in Bestseller. That's with James Woods. Good movie. Good fucking movie. One of the best lines from Blazing Saddles is from Santa. Okay, we'll allow the blank and the blank, but we don't want the Irish.
Nice.
He was a bartender in the movie 10? I don't remember that. Been a long time since I've seen it. Now, another film I want to do on here is another Blake Edwards film called SOB, which it had a big impact on me as a kid. It ended up working its way into one of the funniest biopics I ever wrote. Once again, has really very little to do with me but has everything to do with my friends, because my friends make my life fun. And so I wrote this film called The New Vikings, which is based on an incident when some of my buddies and I stole a body of a friend who died to give him an Irish wake, and we got busted for it in the military. And so I wrote a script around that, and it was also a nod to my friends Ultra Rob and Robert Bankus, Mac. Well, you guys heard me talk about both those guys. I'm trying to get some of my friends to come on the show because they're nerds. I don't know why they're not on the shows. But it ended up being so funny. The problem is its length. It ended up being 224 pages, the script. And the other joke about it is we went in to edit it, and it ended up being 240 pages. And it's like, how the fuck can we go in to edit something and it gets longer? Like, we shouldn't be allowed to edit the script, is what I said. We shouldn't be allowed to fucking do this.
Were you
So-
guys in the middle of doing a wake while you were writing about the wake?
Well, some of the things in the story were actually like very recent events in the story. And in it, though, we fictionalized stealing an ambulance and then knocking the shit out of 4 off-duty cops and locking them up in a broom closet in a bar. And that wasn't true. Neither of those are true. But pretty much everything else in the script is. And some of the things I actually say, my character says in the film, are things I've actually said to people that made it funny. And in many ways, he made First Blood because he's got most of the lines. If he's not a strong character, that film would have flopped. Period. But we're going to be doing a lot of good films over time. And the reason why we've started doing, and I'm going to eventually even transition TGIF into doing not just TV shows, but occasionally doing a film, is so we can get all these fucking movies on our list watched and talked about. Because, I have so many favorite movies over the years. And I am reaching out to you guys too that are like in the group to give good suggestions of films that we should talk about. And if I look at the film and I don't want this as a judgment on you as a person, but if I look at that film and somebody suggests something and I don't like that movie, I just end up being quiet about it because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to tell them, it's a crap movie. And then they'll go, but I really like it. And I hate it when that happens. I love 1941, dude. Putin's Cat. I fucking love that movie. And I've been talking about putting that on Military Monday for a while because I have it on my hard drive. I love that movie. I felt bad that movie tanked. I'm like, why did it tank? It's funny as shit.
It didn't tank. It did all right. It just wasn't a mega hit. That was after Jaws. So it was a failure in the eyes of they were expecting Jaws money again.
I'm going to check on that because as I recall, it did very poorly. Movie. You got a movie with the name of a year in it.
Yeah.
Good luck finding that.
35 million
finding that on
box
Google.
office. 94.9 million in.
Hold on. What was the budget?
35 million. Box office 94.9 million.
So it barely made it over. So I would not consider that a big success.
No, that's what I'm saying. It didn't bomb because that like a bomb is like it completely loses money. It did all right.
It got a Razzie type thing, and people just critics didn't like it. But that's back when people listen to critics. You need to stop that. Stop listening to them.
Stop it.
Trust the people that that have similar tastes to you. And if they liked it, odds are it's going to be good. So who else? Yeah. Lee Anthony Davis popped in. Okay, Bryant Bart. So yeah, let's get this going here and we can get out of here. Andy Morrow, of course. Thanks for being here, my friend. Penny, awesome one. Slasher Fred, Zax, my good buddy Kyle. FKHC 2005, aka Tim. Joe's Atmosphere. Yolanda Gaines. Plain Vanilla. Our Muslim Uncle. Putin's Cat. Let's see. Kingsport Cal. Let's see. Jim Watari. Radioactive. Deborah Cohen. Robert Den Duven. Christopher Moonlight Productions, a very good friend of mine. War Monkey. Victor Ubwada. Okay, Ubwada. Bryant Bart and Lee Anthony Davis. Thanks for everybody dropping in. We had a good audience for this show. Got up in 40s to 50s. That's nice. I like it when
Well,
it's entertaining enough for people to stick around.
it's a good movie, so a well-liked movie.
It's a classic movie.
Yeah.
It is. It's just so deserving of people giving it time. Period. And if you've never watched this film, watch it in color, and then once you've seen it, watch it in black and white. I'm telling you, it has a whole different feel to it.
Thank you, Victor.
It's sort of like that scene from Blue Heaven, where he says, "Every time you say capiche, it hurts my ears."
It sounds like something that Anima would say. And you know, I have to run this video after.
It was
25
made
minutes.
in 73 and released in 74. Go ahead.
You take a hell of a long time to say goodbye.
You know what? You guys slowed me the fuck down and ending this thing.
I know.
I was ready
That's
to go.
it. Show's over. Goodbye, everybody.
Like 6 minutes after, and then Chris and you and fucking everybody just talking, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't get out of here.
I'm sorry.
I gotta go take a steaming hefty Martin, and then
No.
wipe my Shinatsky.
Oh, and you wonder why we
don't like
make this longer, right?
Right.
It's a revenge.
It's a revenge. It's a revenge. I like the way you said it. It's a revenge.
Yeah, it's a revenge. Italiana. Good.
Yeah, so let's get the hell out of here, guys. I'm trying to see if there's anything I was gonna play for you guys that I haven't played yet, and now everything's good. Looking good. We can get the hell out of here. Everybody have a good weekend. Please have a safe Saturday, and don't forget to spay your pets. Look at that. E. Clay Thomason has dropped in at the last moment. Thanks a lot, E. Clay. Bomb. No animals were harmed in the making of this film.